And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is the midst of July 14th. It's a Monday, 2025. Hope you're having a good day. I hope you had a good weekend. As always, serious talk on everything that affects you. We do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, tariffs, debt, deficits, scams, shams, corruption. We head off politics and the markets and the economy. We never had to do politics, but since they've injected $37 trillion of debt and all kinds of crazy crap, we have no choice. We continue to cover it when need be. If you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed, which used to be Twitter. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. And if you'd like to email us, just be nice. You know, I love when I'm on X. I'm getting used to calling it X. And I get some doofus putting me down. And this doofus doesn't even have a name. It's like a picture and a moniker. And they think I'm going to sit there and deal with them. You just block them and they're gone. It's amazing how stupid people are. Anyway, welcome to X. Few things got to start with having to do with tariffs, the markets, the debt and the deficits. Because as you know, I have been the loudest voice on debt and deficits. I've been a very loud voice on the tariffs, and I remain a very loud voice. But this past week, we got news that the tariffs brought in $27 billion. And that for the month, we ran a surplus, and we haven't run a surplus in a very long while, which begs the question, what's going on? Well, when a tariff happens, that company or that entity pays it to our treasury, which will lower the deficit. That's simple as that. And I must tell you, if without harming the economy, if we can continue to tax our companies, it's a tax hike, any way you cut it. If we continue to tax our companies who potentially can send it off to the consumer, but the economy remains in good stead and it lowers the deficit, I'll applaud them. I will applaud them. Now, there was some little accounting stuff going on to make it a surplus for the month, but we'll take it. Any movement towards lower deficits and less debt would be a darn good thing. It doesn't change the trajectory of the blob that Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, and now Trump again are doing. Growing government infinitum, lying about it, and not caring about it. That's that. Trump had an opportunity. He lied about it. The administration lied about it. All the Republicans lied about it. And they have raised the bar again on the size of government. But, I repeat, if this tax hike via tariffs does not cause economic strife and cuts the deficit, I will applaud them. 1 month does not make, but just letting you know, a good number for a month. And that's the story I wanted to start with. So I guess I can applaud them for the month. There's a little clapping. And I mean that, no sarcasm. You know how I feel about it. But I will never forgive them for what they did on the size of government. And you keep hearing, well, they're cutting this and they're cutting that. Fly on an elephant's butt. Fly on an elephant's butt. Now, also what's going on, which I do not like, is that this administration is making up the potential to fire the head of the Fed. They're making up this story that he is responsible for reckless spending. Gee, what is the kettle calling the whatever black or whatever it's called? And they're saying that enables them to fire him. That's a bunch of BS. Now, as you know, we think Powell should have been fired a long time ago, but not under what they're trying to do. We actually think Powell has been doing the right thing by not cutting rates like crazy. We're at 4.25 on the low end on Fed funds. We think he should be at 3.75, so we think he should cut a little bit, but not like the administration is at 1%. You want problems? You go cut Fed funds rates to 1%, ladies and gentlemen. So that's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I feel for Jay Powell because I know he's getting death threats. I know he has to have security because of this. I wish the president would stop, but he don't care what I think. On another note, did you see the numbers on the border? I give the president A++++++ on the border. Saving lives, people not crossing rivers and dying by drowning, or in the back of trucks that are 150 degrees trying to get across the border and dying from heat. And little kids are not being paraded by bad people across the border. President gets big kudos for that. Huge kudos for that. Well done, Trump, on that. We move forward. Tomorrow, BlackRock, Bank of New York, Citigroup, JP Morgan, State Street Bank, Wells Fargo, J.B. Hunt, big trucker, Omnicom, one of the biggest advertising firms. Wednesday, ASML Holdings, not an unimportant semiconductor, Bank America, Goldman Sachs, M&T Bank, Morgan Stanley, PNC. How about Johnson & Johnson in the Dow? How about Progressive Insurance, big name insurance company? How about United Airlines and Las Vegas Sands? Thursday, General Electric, Travelers in the Dow, PepsiCo, Snap-on, U.S. Bancorp, Fifth Third Bank, Elevance, Cintas, the big uniform company, Abbott Labs. How about after the close Thursday, little company called Netflix, AutoNation, Seagate Tech, Taiwan Semi, Novartis. How about 3M in the Dow, American Express in the Dow, Charles Schwab, Comerica, Truist, Huntington Bancorp, Regions Financial, Ally Financial. That's this week. And by the way, it's a small week for earnings. Wait till next week. But some real movers this week, and it's going to be interesting to watch because of those financials, they have been acting pretty darn well. The banks, even the regionals that were comatose for so long, they're acting better. Other financials are acting better, not MasterCard and Visa, though. There's a worry about somebody coming after their fees. We'll see how that plays out. So it's going to be an interesting week. What we tend to do if we don't own something and it's reporting during the week, we ain't buying it. We don't care. And typically we give it about 2 weeks. So that's going to be a big story going forward. It will not be the news. It'll be the reaction to the news. If I would say any negative, Goldman Sachs went up like 90 points in 3 weeks of trading. You would think maybe some pullbacks coming, but hasn't happened yet. They got downgraded today and it was still up $8. They got downgraded last week and stopped going down and bounced. And the same goes for JP Morgan. So financials in good stead. And as I have told you, not much bad happens overall when banks are performing, or at least holding up. And of course, we add in the semiconductors, which pulled back a little bit, some of them today. But as long as they're in good stead, doubt there's a bear market coming. Up next, what else we got? I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Hey, every now and then we recommend things to you. I got a couple of books. Number one, my good buddy, the Philly Godfather, that's his nickname, Stelios Maltipes, has a book called Booked, B-O-O-K-E-D. You can get it on Amazon. Go get it. In case you don't know, he's one of the premier sports bettors. And he has a business where he gives out his stuff. And may I say, in that business, there's a lot of shysters in there. But his numbers, and he gives them out every day, are just fantastic. But this book is not about that. It's a book about his whole life. And I don't know if the word is redemption. I'm not sure that's the word, but go get the book. It's a great book. I could not put the book down, and this is a good buddy of mine, but I couldn't put the book down. It was well written, put together. It's about his life and his father and his family and the things he did wrong and then coming out of it. And where he is now. It's called Booked. Spell his last name, M-A-L-T-E-P-E-S. Next, anybody hear of a guy named David Goggins? Go get his books. I'm up there in age now. I'm no longer 30 and stuff. And I used to get these books many years ago. The first book I kind of read when I got into the world of work was a book by Roger Staubach, the quarterback for the Cowboys, who was a big-time real estate guy. And then I got books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I made sure my kids read it. And I just got a lot of these books to read. And it's just, I think I can write the book now about inspiring and never giving. And I know there's cliches out there about never giving up and be the best you can be and all that stuff. I got to tell you, I'm reading this David Goggins stuff. I feel like I'm 25 when I'm reading his stuff. You can go look him up. Navy SEAL does these 300-mile runs. I mean, it's crazy. The latest one I'm reading is called Never Finished. Goggins. New York Times bestseller. His first book was called Can't Hurt Me. So check those books out. Off the beaten path, not about the markets or the economy, but you read the books, it makes you stand up, sit up, and recognize the things of where you are in life, and no matter where you are and how crappy things may be, what can you make of it going forward? That's what I got of them. So check him out again. Booked, and I'll spell his last name, Maltepes. That you get it at Amazon. By the way, he doesn't even know I'm mentioning it. And anything by David Goggins, Goggins. That is all. Oh, and by the way, in a little bit, I may try to give somebody some business today. I don't usually do that on the show. I'll explain that in a little bit. Back on the markets. Dow up 88, finished near the highs of the day, just creeped higher all day. Goldman was up 8. That's 50 some odd Dow points. Visa bounced. Boeing's acting better. In case you don't know, that crash, they have been absolved, the India crash. And what's come of it is they have come out and stated that one of the pilots pressed something or did something that the fuel is not fed to the engines, and it went boom. And the whole problem with all this, and I gather there's some wondering whether somebody did it on purpose. There's like a half dozen fail safes on pressing those things or maneuvering those things to stop the fuel. They also have tape recordings where one of them said, "Why did you do that?" And the other one said, "I didn't do that." So very, very weird. And it pretty much absolved Boeing. So Boeing stock, just so you know, new yearly high on Boeing again. Drip of, I believe they report in a couple of weeks. Broke out about 218. It's 230 right now. A reminder about Boeing, the old high was $446 back in 19 before all their troubles. And that's why we say it's okay to hold long term, like people tell you. Make sure what you own is good long term. I get nauseated when people say just think long term. Do you know how many stocks have dropped 100% throughout the years, especially in technology? Many. Do you know how many accounts I get in here where there's actually stocks in there that are down 50, 60, 70, 80%? A lot. So stay in touch with your stocks, and it's cool long term. It's good long term. Make sure the company's doing good things long term. Kmart, Citigroup, Sports Authority. Yeah, that Sports Authority went out of business. I couldn't believe that. That was surprising. What else? Bitcoin was strong over the weekend. 2 gaps in a row, 2 days in a row. Fell off at the end of the day a little bit, but that has broken out of range into new high ground, and we'll keep you abreast of the situation. Remember, they do not have any earnings or sales, products or services. People are buying it for the reason of hoping it goes higher. They've locked it up. There's only a certain amount of it. You got some big people in it and are borrowing money and issuing stock to buy and buy more. And as it feeds on itself, it goes, and we'll see where it takes you. We treat it on a technical basis for each and every one of you. And if it fails, we'll let you know. But right now, it did break out of range on, I think it was Wednesday when we said it was set up for it, and on Thursday broke out. Friday gapped up, today gapped up, but got a little distribution at the close today. That is the Bitcoin. Do not forget, there's like 32,000 coins that went to zero. You do remember that, right? And they try to foist NFTs on you. You know what happened there, right? We just want you to remember this. I know they're telling you it's going to 1 million. Somebody said 13 million. Somebody said 30. Terrific. Okay. Sure. I'm not going to argue it. Just remember what you're dealing with. Know your risk tolerance. Be smart. When all is said and done, it's usually earnings and sales and how good a company is. And that is all. But good breakout again of the Bitcoin. Up next, I got other areas to cover and some news of the day. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. You know, I've never done this before, but if any of you life insurance brokers are out there want to help, it's not going to be big time or anything. I just have somebody close to me that's looking for some longer term insurance, a decent number, and he's getting a quote from somebody and seems on the high side. So if you want to contact me, email me at garyk.com or gkaltbaum@kaltbaum.net. Not promising anything, but if you are with a good company and you come up with a very good quote, you may get some business. It's just term, not whole life and all that other stuff. Just term insurance. Thank you in advance. Yippee yay yay. What else are we saying? Let's see. The broad market today was mixed. Home building pulled back. Transports pulled back. Most of the retail pulled back. Except I got to tell you, stock I do not own. Tapestry. Is that the old Coach? I think it is. Stock strong. I'm pretty sure that's the old Coach. Yeah, I think so. And didn't they buy like Kate Spade or something? I'm pretty sure. Anyway, just letting you know, we don't own it. But boy, oh boy, that thing snuck out about 6-7 days ago at 91. It's 101, and numbers are okay. Nothing spectacular. And in a sea of not good action in retail, that one stands out. And when I mean not good action, I mean there's a lot of stocks that have been blasted in retail. Semis pulled back today. I mentioned the strength today in the banks and the other financials. They bounced the insurance stocks, but not thrilled. Better action in some of the defense stocks because everybody likes a good war, but still Lockheed Martin's down at 473. It was 615 last October. Still a lot of weak stuff. Just overall tone pretty decent. Small and mid caps are up again today as they tick a little bit higher. I still say large caps are the better place to be. Why? Because they've been the better place to be going forward. And now, again, I have to repeat, major earnings season on the way where great stocks will become crappy and crappy stocks will become great. That's what always occurs. What we look to do is very simple. Companies either report early in the morning before the open or after the close. Early in the morning is a pain in the rear for me because I got to triply work in the morning, furiously going over. After the close is much easier. I wish more of them do that because after the close, market's closed. I got plenty of time. I'm in no rush, and I can look over the stocks much easier. And what first off, because of all the scanning we're always doing, we know where most stocks are at, where the leadership is, where the bear markets are, and all we do. We have this system we have that pushes to us all the earnings reports as well as the reactions. So we know every mover before and after. And of course, I have seen stocks up 10% in the aftermarket after the close and open up down. And I've seen some open up down 10% and then finish up. So you never know. That's our job to stay on top of these things. And simply what we're looking for, mostly on the fundamental side, show me strong growth, earnings, and sales. The stronger, the better. And especially if they're dependable and they do it all the time and they're consistent. And then the most important part of the equation, because we've seen plenty of times you have strong growth and the stocks gap down 15% because you never know what they're going to say. So the next thing we're doing at that point in time, well, the first thing we're doing is what's the reaction to the earnings? That matters most to us. And very simple, nothing's ever 100%, but stocks that gap up because of a great earnings report, because they beat estimates, not just beat, but expectations were to grow 40% and they're growing 60%. And they say going forward they're going to grow 80%, that type of stuff. That's what we're always looking for. Consequently, on the other side is the opposite. And boy, oh boy, even with the market rallying up, there's a ton of stuff that are still way down. And even though semiconductors up in the AI, there's a ton of semiconductor stocks that are way, way down. UPS, stock sitting at a new yearly low. UPS. FedEx, not at new yearly lows, but almost. So you never know which ones. You just got to stay on top of things and then watch it from there. And then it's just a constant feel of what's going on. We look at a photo album for familiar faces. And of course, now, as we have told you, and again, this is not a rub on them, we're just stating a fact. There's not a day that goes by that the President of the United States doesn't change something up or add something. Just letting you know, especially on the tariff front. It's ever changing. It's never stopping. And the fact of the matter is, he crashed the market once. Right now, the market's response on anything is, no big deal. Let's hope it stays that way. Over the weekend, we had stuff, and we thought the market could have a rough day today, and guess what? Finished up. So we're going to watch that closely. Normally, the market is a mechanism that sees the future. Now it's a mechanism that has to deal with right now. And you have to remember, our President of the United States is doing economic policy on the fly on tax policy. Tariffs are taxes. That is abnormal as all hell. And we hope the market never doesn't believe him going forward. And what we mean by that is, as of now, the market does not believe that he's going to keep these big tariffs that he's now putting on again. If the market did, I believe, just an opinion, the market would have some serious problems. You cannot put 50% on a country that brings in a bunch of stuff. You can't put 35% on Canada, which is our biggest trading partner. I do believe our biggest trading partner. I believe he said that we may put 100% on Russia. I'm not so sure caviar is going to matter too much, or Russian vodka. We got vodka here. But all this matters. And again, I repeat, I don't care what anybody tells you. It is a tax on us. Does not mean it has to be a tax on us, because the importer can always negotiate with the exporter on them eating something or just some sort of deals. And 10% tariffs, they have these things called they're workarounds. But we don't ever want to get to the point where the market cares. And right now it does not. We'll see how it plays out. We'll stay on top of it. But boy, oh boy, it is the most news-driven market, because we have the most news-driven president ever. He's making what he did in his first 4 years into nothing as far as the yapping. And again, not a put down, we're just telling you facts. Today, latest was, I can move the markets with 3 words, something to that effect. Okie doke. Sometimes we wonder if he just opens his yapper so he can move the markets. We'll see. Anyway, so that's the story on the earnings front. And let's see, for tomorrow, I did have it here a second ago. Most everything is after the close. I take it back. Before the open, BlackRock, Bank of New York, Citigroup, JP Morgan, State Street Bank, and Wells Fargo. So there is going to be financials movement tomorrow morning. And the good news, most of these banks report before 7:30 a.m., so I got plenty of time to do my thing. And then we get the afternoon. And then we get the next morning. And then the next. And then the next. Yippee, yay, yay, yay. Welcome to my world. Overall, advanced declines were okay today, nothing special. New highs stayed about the same. Deterioration, we had some late last week in the software and stuff. They bounced after dropping. I got to tell you, some bounced pretty decently, but overall, there's a little bit of distribution, nothing to get twisted over. And as I have stated, if the semiconductors and the banks don't drop, let's not forget whether they go up or not. If they don't drop, market will be in good stead. Up next, this, that, and the other thing, or whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Remember I told you on Instagram they have this little thing called Visionary Minds with 2 Ys? We'll do a couple of those this week. Anybody ever heard of ALDI? ALDI? I guess supermarket type chain. They're now here. There's one right near where I live. Haven't been in one. I'll have to check it out. Let me read to you. Aldi does everything the big brands avoid. It barely advertises, no loyalty points, no delivery apps, but it's one of the most profitable grocery chains on earth. This is how Aldi built a $100 billion empire, by ignoring modern retail trends. Most supermarkets fight for attention with ads and discounts. Aldi does the opposite. It spends almost nothing on marketing and still wins, which, by the way, is amazing. Their stores are minimal by design. No music, no decorations, no clutter. Just neatly packed shelves and low prices. Aldi stocks about 1,300 core products, while Walmart has over 30,000. Fewer choices equal less waste, faster shopping, and lower overhead. Over 90% of Aldi's products are private label. I'm going to have to check this place out. That means they make their own versions of popular goods. No brand markups equal higher margins at better prices. Instead of fancy displays, Aldi keeps products in the same boxes they're shipped in. This slashes setup time, cuts labor costs, and keeps shelves full around the clock. Fewer employees are needed to run a store. A typical Aldi might have just 5 to 8 workers managing the entire floor. Wow. Their barcodes are massive, printed on multiple sides of each product. Cashiers scan items in seconds, making Aldi one of the fastest checkouts in retail. Aldi checkouts don't offer free bags or bagging services. Customers pack their own groceries, cutting costs and speeding up the line. Their supply chain is brutally efficient. They buy in bulk, negotiate hard, and avoid unnecessary suppliers. They don't offer online shopping or delivery in most places. That's intentional. It keeps costs low and operations simple. No loyalty cards, no apps, no points. Boy, that sucks. They rely on what actually matters, price and trust. They thrive when the economy struggles. In 22, during record inflation, over 9 million U.S. shoppers switched to Aldi. Its reputation for low prices makes it a go-to choice in tough times. They often open stores right next to bigger chains. Ooh, I love that. Confident that shoppers will walk out of both and choose Aldi. In 23, was the fastest growing grocery chain in the U.S. It now has over 2,000 stores and growing. Aldi brings in over $120 billion in revenue globally, and it's still privately owned by the founding family. Dang. You know what? I'm going to go check this place out. There's one right near I live. Huh. I've been in a Trader Joe's. I'm not a big fan of Trader Joe's. You ever been in that? I don't know whether, I guess people love it. I do like the Whole Foods, though. Prices are absolutely insane for some things. But in New York City, they got a couple of Whole Foods. Man, oh man, it's pretty cool. Destination shopping, I must say. Kind of like Costco-ish. And if you've never been to Costco, you may want to check it out. By the way, I mentioned these books today. Did you watch the Wimbledon final? This guy Sinner, who I got to see when I was at Wimbledon, the most heartbreaking of losses at the final of the French Open against the same man he just battled in Wimbledon and won. That is magnificent. I gather it made the win that much sweeter for him. Just wow. And the way he accepted the loss as a great sportsman, with class after the loss, and he said afterward, I'm going to go back to work. Wimbledon is the next big one, and I am going to be ready. And guess what? He kicked Alcaraz's butt. 4 sets. Beat him good. So good on him. I love seeing things like that, don't you? I love seeing that. You turn a heartbreaking loss and you take it and you spin it around and boom, he just won Wimbledon. I think Alcaraz has 5 majors. I think that may have been 3 or 4 for Sinner. These two guys, I was always worried when the big 3 gone bye-bye. that who's going to bring it up next? Well, you got two right now. The rest are a notch lower, at least a notch lower than these two guys, and that's why they're getting to the finals. And next up will be the U.S. Open. I'm going to go the first weekend to the U.S. Open, I believe, and they have those stupid night sessions, so you have to pay double the money. Yay. And that's in Flushing Meadows, New York. Anyway, I just love things like that. Comebacks. When you think it's going to bury you, especially at that level, and boom. What do you have, 3 match points at the French Open against Alcaraz? Yeah, I think 3 match points, and went to a tiebreaker in the 5th. And then he got mowed over in the tiebreaker. Anyway, good to see. It looks like we got a rivalry for a very long time. And in the women's final, women lost 0-0, double bagel. And I watched her when I was there. I was there the day, and I watched her play, and I thought she was pretty good. Never thought she'd get to the final. It's going to be interesting to see how she recovers from losing a final, double bageled. And the girl she played against couldn't miss. Was like a human backboard. And that's our sports for today. As you can tell, I try to go to Wimbledon and the Masters all the time. Next up is going to be the Ryder Cup at Bethpage. I'm going to go on that Saturday. Boy, a lot of good sports in the U.S. coming up. Yippee-yay-yay. That's the way we roll. All right, so tomorrow morning may change the playing field, may not. Doubt it does. Little distribution here. Not the end of the world. We'll see what tomorrow brings. You have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. Good night.